technology continues to develop and it also continues to reshape project delivery. What are you seeing in terms of the types of tools or the platforms or areas where technology is making the most impact on efficiency and decision-making in project management? What do you see out there? What are you liking so far?
Any tool that kind of eliminates manual steps and helps turn our data into something that helps us make better decisions, integrating our project management platforms, having our...
What does it take to support your project managers and your organization so that they can be successful? In today's episode, I have with me Cara Henegar, Vice President and National Project Delivery Leader at Verdantas. And she's going to talk about how at Verdantas, when they're constantly integrating new project managers, how they can drive consistency, and she can really focus on making sure the PMs are successful, whether that means implementing new technology, making sure that they communicate and collaborate with other PMs, and ultimately serve their clients well. This episode is action-packed with things that you can do to support PMs and PM development in your organization. Now, before we jump in with Cara, I do want to tell you about something that's tailor-made for project managers in the AEC industry. It's called AEC PM Connect, and it's an event designed for PMs who want to level up how they deliver projects, communicate with teams, and lead with confidence, all through practical, real-world strategies and tools. And here's the exciting part. At this event, we'll be announcing the winners of the AEC PM Awards, recognizing professionals who lead with purpose and deliver measurable results. Just imagine someone from your organization being named AEC PM of the Year. That kind of recognition can boost your people, your culture, and your firm's reputation in a big way. The next PM Connect will take place on June 10, 2026 at the Forest Gate Country Club in New Jersey. You can register now at aecpmconnect.com. Again, that's aecpmconnect.com. And if you want to nominate someone for the awards, head over to aecpmawards.com to download the nominations guide before the deadline of February 28th. I'm your host, Anthony Fasano, and this is the AEC Project Management Podcast. Well, Cara, welcome to the AEC PM Podcast.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get to talk with you. I had the chance to meet Cara at our AEC PM Connect event in Kansas City, where she was one of our speakers. She was awesome. And luckily, she let me convince her to come on the podcast, which I'm excited about. So, Cara, maybe you could start by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got started in project delivery in the AEC industry.
Absolutely. So I am a civil environmental engineer by background, and I really loved the technical side, solving those more complex site assessment and remediation challenges. But like many people, and think in the AEC industry, my path into project management wasn't something that I maybe deliberately would have chose. It was more like that natural progression. If you want more responsibility, if you want a path to promotion, you go to project management. I think what I quickly realized is that although project management is really at the core of project delivery, most PMs never really get formal training. And I was one of those PMs. I really didn't get that formal training. I was a technical professional, and I suddenly found myself running million-dollar projects, multi-million-dollar projects, managing risk, leading teams, navigating contracts, communicating with clients, all while still doing the technical work. And I generally love problem solving. I'm passionate about helping other PMs succeed without layering in governance for the sake of governance. And really, that's especially important at Verdantas because we're growing fast, organically through acquisition, and we're still navigating that kind of like messy middle. So perfectly kind of captures that reality. We're trying to bring together cultures and systems and ways of working together while still building a more like unified project delivery approach. So we're learning, we're adjusting, we're trying to get things right, then we're iterating. So when I, first stepped into this role, it was just like, I want to help project managers be more efficient, be more effective, be more consistent in their project delivery. And it's really exciting for me because there's so much opportunity at a growing firm to help kind of remove the friction and help PMs get the tools they really need to shine and effectively run projects.
Yeah, it's awesome. And Verdantas, for those of you not familiar with the company, is a very fast growing company. They've acquired a lot of companies and continue to do that. And for someone in Kara's role, that's very challenging in that you have people coming in with all different ways of managing projects, right? They do it their way, they do it another way, and you're bringing these companies together. And you do, like Kara said, have to try to come up with this unifying approach. And I think I think AEC teams and organizations, just in general, they struggle with kind of inconsistent project management practices across an organization. And I'm just wondering from your experience, when you're looking at project management across an organization, what do you look for when you say, hey, we need to make this area more consistent or we need to streamline this area of our project management? What are some of the things in your position that you're looking for when you're looking to improve things?
For me, like the first thing I'm looking for is like, is there a lot of friction in a process? Are multiple PMs trying to solve the same problem in a different way? Are they creating their own workarounds? That's when I know like there's a system in place that is not working for anybody. I'm looking for repeated questions about a process or real confusion about a process. PMs spending way too much time. They're hunting for information and they can't find it and they have to go to 5 different people to get their answer. I'm looking for big variability in outcomes for similar project types. And then I'm looking at like our write offs and reserves and risk events that maybe we could have caught earlier if we had a better process in place. So when I see all of those things, then that's kind of my cue to start working with my team on okay, we need to step in. Let's figure out where there are obstacles that we can remove. Is there a way we could simplify this process? Where can we create clarity? So basically, I'm kind of asking myself, is the process helping people? Is it delivering value? Or is it just unnecessary red tape that we need to go in and kind of simplify and make sure people can get their jobs done without jumping through a whole lot of different hoops that aren't really, adding value?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to think about it because I think really, someone in Kara's position, I think Kara, one of your jobs or one of your main roles is to help your PMs to be successful, right? And to make it easy for them to be successful. And kind of the stuff that you just said is you're looking for those red flags to say, hey, this process is taking too long, or I'm getting a ton of questions from our PMs about how to run this report or how to use this program, and they need to get it faster or better. And I think that's a really good thing to do across any organization, right? Where's the friction for our project managers and how can we dive in and streamline it? Because at the end of the day, to Kara's point, like for most of you, especially if you're in a private organization, this is your profit driver, right? Delivering your projects on time and on budget. And if you're noticing the write offs or the variances, you've got to do some investigation there because if you can fix something that streamlines and eliminates or reduces your write offs, I mean, that's huge for the entire company.
Yeah, it's one of the big, AI tools that we're using right now is, just looking at a write-offs and reserves dashboard. What is the root cause? Is it different in different parts of our organization? How do we kind of remove the friction in that process to remove that write-off? Is it because we didn't have the right tools or processes in place? I don't know, but that's what we're learning right now is like getting our PMs to let us know what was the root cause, what really caused this write off. So now we can go in and figure out what are some solutions that we can offer to make it easier for you to do that project next time.
Yeah, I love that. And I guess one thing to dig a little bit deeper on here is, what we're talking about right now sounds great, right? Streamlining, AI, making things faster and more efficient. And I think all that's great. Whatever we can automate works. But I guess the one question I would have for you when it comes to this is how do you think, when you think about a process, usually there's a part of it that you can standardize, maybe automate, right? But then also, I think there's has to be some areas for flexibility, right? Because we know every project is different, the departments are different, maybe a geographical center or a client type is different. So how do you think about like standardization versus like some flexibility when you look at these processes?
I think what we try to do is we standardize the non-negotiables. We try to tying those into like risk and compliance and clients. So we have our matrix of authority that serves as our governance framework. It defines who has authority to make decisions that might impact our broader business. We're hoping, by using this document, we're promoting efficiency and clarity and collaboration and accountability, and we're supporting good informed decision making. So when we're looking at navigating like complex or high risk pursuits or projects, we want to look to our matrix of authority and have it help us guide those decisions. We want to make sure that we're optimizing more consistent and accountable project decision making, but we intentionally allow flexibility in how our teams execute the work. Different markets, different disciplines, different clients, they generally all need different approaches. Like you're saying, I think the PM should have room to solve problems creatively without being kind of boxed into like, oh no, this is definitely a one size fits all, because it's not a one size fits all model. So I think what we've tried to think about is, where do we need guardrails? Let's put those in place where they really matter and give teams as much freedom to operate confidently within those guardrails as we possibly can.
Yeah, I love
It's
that.
hard to
And I
do.
love that approach. It's very hard to do, but I do think that the leading organizations do that as opposed to taking an approach where you say, hey, everybody do something this way. Because at the end of the day, in our industry, it just doesn't work. I mean, listen, there are some things like, and I like the way you describe it, right? The non negotiables, right? Certain things where you say, listen, we can't compromise this because if we do, we're going to be in trouble, whether it's a safety thing or some kind of a finance thing or something around or a client service, aspect of it, your project or what you do that's really important for connecting with the client. But then there are other things that we can streamline and we can automate and we can make better. And so I think when you're looking at project management across an organization, that's a really good guideline for yourself in terms of things that we can make easier and better and faster in automation, but then other things where we got to leave it up to the project managers here to do a little bit what works for them based on wherever they're at, which I think is important.
Yeah, we have like top 6 business risk items. If they are these top 6 items, get input from our executive team. Make sure that we are comfortable with pursuing these items. Everything else, we'd really try to push out into operations, into the different business units, and allow them to make a decision that makes sense for the way their teams operate.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of like these companies like Amazon where they tell their customer service teams like if it's less than $200, just deal with it and fix it, right? But if it's more than $200, elevate it, talk to someone, and something like that, which I think can be a good approach, generally speaking.
Yeah, we're on our 3rd or 4th iteration of our matrix of authority because we have to keep expanding it and making it make sense for the size of our business.
Yeah, exactly. In the AEC industry, skilled project managers are the backbone of success. EMI's AEC PM certification offers tailored training, ongoing support, and exclusive access to premium content that keeps your team sharp and effective. From foundational training to advanced leadership tools, set your team apart with certified growth. Learn more at aecpm.com. That's aecpm.com. So, Cara, technology continues to develop and it also continues to reshape project delivery. What are you seeing in terms of the types of tools or the platforms or areas where technology is making the most impact on efficiency and decision making in project management? What do you see out there? What are you liking so far?
I think the biggest impact I'm seeing is any tool that kind of eliminates manual steps and helps turn our data into something that helps us make better decisions is where I'm seeing the most impact. That's where I see the most buy-in from our teams also. So integrating our project management platforms, having our Deltek Vantage Point data feed into Power BI dashboards that immediately gives a PM a view of their entire portfolio, hopefully surfacing risk early, highlighting margin trends, helping project teams to see where they might have some margin erosion rather quickly, what clients' portfolios are performing better, where are we seeing more write-offs come in. Those have been very effective. Also, having document management systems that help to streamline collaboration. And then any AI tool, we're using Copilot, but we're using a lot of Copilot agents to help teams find information, draft documents, identify project risks early. So we have a technical resource agent, for instance, that helps PMs starting at the pursuit phase, find information, mine the RFP for data, find similar projects, find resume, project write-ups that would help support that RFP. We also have a employee self-service agent. It's going to answer common questions for employees like, what's our PTO policy? What do I do for goal setting this year? Where can I find training on certain things? And that has, how many times can you imagine somebody from an integrating firm coming in and having a question about like all the new policies coming into Verdantas? This has really helped to streamline. And it just gets better and better the more our people use the tool and then report back on, good and bad answers. Really, any tool that is going to free up my PMs from repetitive tasks and give them access quicker to the knowledge, then they can focus on leading projects. They're not chasing down information and answers. So when that gives that PM time back to focus on the technical portion of the project or the client relationship or help them make a better decision, and that's really where I see better adoption of the tools and better impact for the organization. Is it something that's saving them time, making their job easier?
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I think that that's a great, and again, a rule of thumb for someone who's looking to implement some of this technology is it going to make the lives easier of my people, of my team, of my project managers, whatever your situation is. And the second thing that I really like about what Kara said there is you talked about how you have these agents, let's say. So if you integrate a new company with 20 project managers, right away they have access to, where can I find this? How do I do this here, right? At Verdantas. And what's great about that is that's really a great case of using AI for your specific situation, right? Because you know that you're a company that's acquiring companies and integrating a lot of PMs. And so that can become kind of a low-hanging fruit initiative that you can do and get some really good return on it, because that's going to save you and others there a lot of time from training and getting people in right away and making sure that they're able to drive that same consistency of project management across the organization. And so I think when it comes to AI, you got to think about your organization and where you need it most based on your business plan, your business strategy. And I think what Kara gave us is a couple of examples of how it really works for you.
Yeah, and one that we're working on right now is, how do we better manage risks throughout the project life cycle? So having a agent where PMs can go in and put it in an RFP or put in, some information about the client or the project type and ask it to like come up with risks and opportunities for this project type that I should be considering as I'm going into the pursuit. So just next step, and we're taking a lot of feedback from our PMs. What would you like to see? Are there processes you think we should be automating that we're not currently automating? So we have a whole community where we ask for their ideas as well. So it really does help, I think, the buy-in when, a PM can see, or any employee really can see that they've submitted an idea and it's made its way into, we've created an agent or we've created a workflow to streamline that portion of the process because you've told us it's hard. It's too hard. I'm going to too many people. I don't know where to go for this info.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And, the next question that I was going to ask you, and I think partially maybe you answered there a little bit, but, implementing these new technologies in any organization, you can get some kickback from people. You can get resistance from people because it's another thing they have to do. And it sounds like from your end, a lot of communication ongoing with your project managers about their needs and what they need from you can help you to overcome that. Because if you know what they need and you try to implement tools to help them, then I would imagine they're much more open to it than if you just say, we're doing this.
Yeah, I would say that one of the biggest misconceptions is a tool's going to fix your bad project delivery. But if your workflows and your roles and your governance and all this is not crystal clear, that adoption is going to stall out. And sometimes you're trying to solve a problem and you create too much complexity. And that's hard to maintain. It's hard to, get that through. We want to make it simple, clear, concise. So we do start with pilots, especially in high friction areas. We're trying to prove the value and refine as we go. So we want PMs to feel the productivity gain pretty quickly. So what we do is we pilot it first with small groups. We're focusing on getting it to like 80% right and then iterate it based on the feedback. So, we don't often put something out that we think is perfect. We put something out that we are co-designing that solution with the people that are going to use them. So if a PM has suggested something, we're going to involve them in our pilot program. We're going to ask for their info. We're going to ask for their feedback because I think when they see their fingerprints on it, the buy-in comes more naturally. They don't feel like it's being done to them. They're like, oh no, I was part of this solution. This solution was developed with me in mind. And they're going to tell all the other PMs, hey, have you tried this yet? This is a really great thing. you should look at it.
So they're on your side now.
Yeah, now they're on our side. Now they're change leaders for the organization because they
Right.
had a hand in that solution.
Yeah, I think that's great. Now, I know at Verdantas, you've invested a lot in building a strong project delivery support organization. Can you talk a little bit about that and what makes it effective?
So when we started this project delivery support organization, we were only about 400 employees and maybe 150 or so project managers. And now we've really scaled, we're around, we're over 2,000 employees now. We have a lot of project managers. And I'm not going to say we're pretending we've solved everything. We're still like very much in that messy middle. We're trying to move forward with clarity of purpose. We want PMs to spend more time leading, less time wrestling with process. So our structure kind of combines our governance, training, and hands-on support to try to make that project delivery as easy as you possibly can and more consistent across our organization. So as I said, like our governance starts with our matrix of authority. That way PMs know who approves what. Who do they go to with decision-making needs? And then we have introduced roles such as like project control specialists to provide that more embedded support to our project delivery teams. Having team members that are there, supporting project managers who are often still handling a pretty high technical role in the project. So having somebody to help them keep their schedules current, aligning their budgets, helping them with invoicing, running those financial reports. Then we have our area project delivery leaders. So they're kind of embedded in each area, acting as more of a strategic partner on their area leadership teams. They're monitoring the project health. They're leading risk reviews. They're coaching PMs on financial performance. They're trying to align the delivery practices in that area with that area's goals. So it might be different in different areas of the company. Depending on what their specific challenges are. And we've recently formalized training and responsibilities for our area project delivery leaders. So the support that each area is getting is more consistent, not dependent on, somebody's personality, for instance. And then
I
we have
like
an
that.
integration leader that helps new acquisitions adopt our standards as quickly as possible. So they're helping with ERP integration. They're helping with PM training. What are the impacts coming into Verdantas operating as a very different company than maybe your small business was operating? So we don't want our incoming teams left just to figure it out. We want to help them develop a plan as they're moving into our systems and processes and workflows. And then we have a project management and project controls practice group. So this is kind of like our center of excellence for project delivery. This group delivers our structured PM trainings. They're helping to drive best practices. They develop tools and templates, and they really serve as a community for our project managers and our project control specialists. So we're hopefully working on that continuous improvement and lessons learned across the organization.
Well, you say you're in the messy middle, but I bet you all our listeners are like, wow, you're way ahead of where we're at. But that's a lot. That's a lot of support for your PMs, which is wonderful. And I know you put a lot of effort into it, and you're really passionate about what you do. So I'm happy to get to hear a little bit about it. And I think one of the other things I want to kind of pick your brain on a little bit here is we know that AEC projects are becoming, more complex every year. There's just more moving parts. They're getting more complicated. How do you kind of strike that right balance between, embracing innovation, but also keeping things practical for your project managers? I see this as like a big kind of balancing act for us at this point.
Yeah. I kind of try to start with the question of like, is this process going to make it easier for a PM to deliver a better project? If the answer is no, then I'm like, you know what, that's not really an idea worth pursuing. So you're right. It's like a balance. We're trying to lean into innovation that reduces steps, that reduces like all this manual entry, improves our accuracy, helps to provide better visibility. And it's hard to find that balance. I do it by trying to keep my PMs involved as much as possible, testing through pilots, getting feedback. I guess avoid over engineering things. Try to get them to 80% and not 100%. Iterate them. I try to stay focused on what is the value that this brings to the organization, and I don't know, it's like simplifying without oversimplifying.
Yeah,
It's
tricky.
definitely a tricky
Yeah.
scenario.
But I think going back to what you said earlier is a big piece of it, where you're keeping in communication with your PMs and constantly finding out where their needs are, where they're getting stuck, right? What's going to be helpful for them. Because I just feel like if you're able to keep that kind of a relationship with them, you're going to start to understand, where you're pushing them from productive, practical to impractical. And like, hey, it's this great program with all these bells and whistles, but I'm never going to use it because it's too many
Yeah.
steps for me to do it, right?
It's overly
And
complex, right? How can
right.
we make it as simple and clear and concise as we possibly can? And one of the questions that we ask in our project management training, we do an in-person like boot camp training. It's a day and a half long, but we ask all of our PMs to give us ideas for firm-wide implementation. Are there processes or workflows that you feel are overcomplicated or that you don't understand? Do you have ideas for the firm, like to make us better? How do we make it easy for you guys to work better on multidisciplinary projects? How do we get you guys to think about being interdisciplinary in your solutions? Are there things that we can be doing and implementing that you would find value in? And we bring all those back and we talk about them. And sometimes we're
Yeah,
like,
I love that.
"Eh, we don't think this would really work, but it like gets your brain thinking. And we find out about friction points that we didn't even know about.
Yeah, I mean, I think really at the end of the day, this is something that everyone should be thinking about if you're supporting project managers in your organization, is having the constant line of communication with them and kind of keeping a heartbeat on where they're at as a group, individually and as a group, because it's like anything in life. I mean, if you want to service your clients, you need to know what their problems are, right? You need to know what their pain points are. If you want to service your PMs and support them, you need to know what they need. And if you make broad sweeping assumptions based on what you think you know about project management, they're not going to be good because things change so fast in the world today. So I think that this is an important thing. And I guess one kind of question I have going a little bit deeper on this, Cara, is, from a leadership standpoint, what habits or practices have you tried to use to, guide your teams and your PMs through change, right? Change is constantly happening in our world. I mean, for you, you're integrating new PMs like every day. And I'm curious, like, you might change something in the support system. You might change a software. You might change a client requirement at Verdantas, right? So how do you approach change in your organization?
I think everybody tries to be extremely transparent. We assume our people can handle the truth, especially in our growing company. Like if we're experimenting with something, I say it. If we're not 100% sure, I say that too. We're like, hey, we're at 80% here. We need your testing. We need your feedback. We need your input. We had a process, we had a matrix of authority at one point in time that was so overly complex that we got so much feedback. We're just not using this that we were like, all right, let's scrap it. We brought in a team of maybe, I don't know, 20 to 30 project managers, senior consultants, people that were using this matrix of authority every day. And we said, all right, you guys have told us this is way too hard. What can we do to make it better? And we just brought them in, we made them part of the solution, and we admitted, yeah, this thing is not that great. You can't follow it. And through that whole process, people really understood like, hey, we're trying to do what's best for the company here. We're not going to get it right 100% of the time. We try to listen to our project managers, listen to what they're saying, because a lot of our best solutions are coming from those people that are the closest to the work. So, like we said before, trying to listen for like root causes. What is causing this process to fail? What is causing you to have a write-off? What is causing you to have internal friction? I try to listen to that and figure out, okay, is there something we can do to help guide the teams and help them through this change, especially in integration. And we've gone through many iterations of integration and onboarding of new companies because we're just trying to make the experience better and learn from each integration as they come on board. And then I think just creating a safe space for like experimentation, encouraging teams to like test things out and iterate them. And we're not going to punish you for trying something new that didn't perfectly work out the first time.
Right. Yeah, I like that. Building up the trust factor, I think, is important when you're talking about highly variable situations, which project management absolutely is. And yeah, I like that a lot. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, you're trying to help PMs be better every day. And the only way that you can do that is to help them through change, to help them with their projects, with their clients, with their relationships. Anything you could do to help is going to be supportive. And so I got two final questions for you. The first one is based on your experience dealing with PMs, and you've dealt with a lot of them. What would you say are maybe the one or two top skills that you see in those top PMs that can really handle those mega projects, that can deal with a lot of people? What are the standout skills for you that you see repeatedly?
W- One of the standout skills I think is like taking more of like an interdisciplinary approach. So when they're trying to find a solution to a problem in project delivery involving everyone on the team. Not just like it's a mechanical problem, so I'm only going to talk to the people that know mechanical things. I'm going to talk to all the different technical leaders on the team because they may have seen something or done something on another project in another company that we should consider. So that's a big one for us, I think, is
Being very
encouraging that
collaborative.
interdisciplinary, intercollaborative approach, even if it's just, if it's a problem very specific to one discipline, that doesn't mean somebody else in the team might not have an interesting solution that you hadn't thought of. So I think
Awesome. That's great.
that's a big one for me.
Yeah, no, I love that, especially in the world we live in today where there is a lot of different disciplines that you're constantly dealing with and you're interacting with. And being open-minded to getting information from a lot of them is helpful, right? I mean, and this kind of has been a little bit of a running theme of our conversation today, right? It's like communication constantly with people early on throughout your projects, which is really important. All right. So the last question I have for you, and we call it the PM pitfalls question, is when you look at projects, I mean, you do a lot of this. You analyze projects. You mentioned earlier, you're looking at write-offs, you're doing root cause analysis. What would you say is one of the bigger PM pitfalls on projects that project managers fall into, or that a project, goes bad because of, based on what you've seen, and any recommendations for dealing with it, overcoming it, being aware of it?
I think one of the biggest things I see is that a PM is trying to carry everything alone. They are trying to, be the be all end all on the project. And I think a more effective approach is building that team around you. Technical leads, having project controls involved, discipline specialists, use your tools, use your systems that you have in place to stay ahead of a risk. And if a problem happens, engage your team. Talk to your senior in charge, talk to your area leader, your department leader, a peer, a mentor. Don't try to take it all on alone and assume that you are the best person to solve the problem. And I think that if I could get more of my PMs to delegate intentionally, and that's probably one of the hardest things to do, it would help them out a lot. Like you don't have to be the one doing all of the technical work and all of the project management. If you start to delegate more intentionally and focus on your highest and best use, push those problems up to somebody above you. Let them help you solve those challenges. You know, don't go to sleep at night being so worried that a project is so screwed up and you don't know what to do, but you're afraid to go to somebody. Communicate early and often. Lean into those support systems because they're all around you. We have practice groups, we have area leadership groups, we have client delivery leaders, we have all of these people that want to make a project a success. And I want to see more of my people working together and leaning on each other and not taking those projects home at night and stewing on them. Reach out, talk to somebody about it. So, and I think the other thing is just like time management in general kind of gets away from us. I
Mm.
love to have my PMs set days when you're going to have no meetings, where you're going to work and maintain focus all day long. Time block, get those priorities blocked out. Don't wait for things to be perfect. As I said before, get it to
Yeah.
80% complete. It's better to get it to 80% than it's 100% complete and now it's too late and you've kind of missed the deadline and you haven't communicated things to your team that you should have. And I always, continue to encourage them, use templates, use repeatable structures. Don't reinvent the wheel. Use Copilot to help you out, use those agents to help you out, and embrace the things that technology can actually help you with.
Yeah, that's all great stuff. And the one thing I just want to go back to that you talked about in terms of the pitfall, which I think is important in terms of getting help. I think that's a cultural mindset. And I think in today's culture, sometimes we think if we ask for help, we look bad. And so I do think it's really a cultural thing. And someone like Cara with, a leader in the company can help to kind of set that culture. Just like you said, Cara, ask for help. We create these resources for you. Talk to your manager, talk to your leader, talk to me, right? I think it's not something that we can assume someone knows that or assume someone's comfortable with that, because they're not most of the time. And most of the time people will say, I don't want to bother my supervisor. They're too busy. They're working on important stuff and they're going to think I don't know what I'm doing. But that's really not the case. At the end of the day, these projects are complicated. Like you're not going to know how to handle all these things. It's really a team sport, project management at the end of the day, even though the PM obviously makes decisions. And what I would encourage you to do, to Kara's point, is set the mindset, set the culture in your organization that we're here to help each other. We don't want you going off on a 40-hour tangent on a project for sure, when we can help you, and maybe Copilot can connect you with someone in Florida that did the same thing in our company that you're working on, right? So the resources that Cara has talked about in the episode today are awesome. And then the next step of that is making sure people are using those resources and they understand that they're available, which is kind of like a step 2 piece.
It is a step 2 piece, like, making sure people understand that, hey, we have all of these very active communities, and we try to create a safe space. So,
Exactly.
trust us with your problems, trust us to help you get out of that, because that's what we're here for. That's what we want to do. We want to help you find creative solutions when you're stuck. It's fun for us.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say is that if you're a PM, but someone in your organization does what Cara does, talk to that person, right? Like say, you know, keep them up to date on what you're thinking about, on what you need help with, right? Because if you're in Cara's position, you can create help and pathways for PMs. But if you are a PM doing the work and in the trenches, you should be communicating with those that can help you as a project manager, develop the tools for you. And you got to keep those lines of communication open, because that's what's going to help your organization be successfully managing projects.
Yeah, absolutely. Could not have said it better.
Well, once again, Cara Henegar, Vice President and National Project Delivery Leader at Verdantas. I'm grateful for you being here, Cara, and for all the stuff you've done with us. You were speaking at our Connect event. I know we're going to try to get you at another event as well, because you're great, and we just appreciate all of your time.
Well, thank you so much. I really valued our conversation today. I love being part of the PM Connect event. It was such great energy, and I would encourage anybody, when you hear about it, sign up for it. It was a really cool event.
Awesome. Thank you, Cara. You're the best.
Thanks. Bye. I
hope you enjoyed my conversation with Cara. She is amazing. She was an amazing speaker at our AEC PM Connect event, which, by the way, you can register for at aecpmconnect.com. And she's also just a brilliant project manager and knows so much about the AEC industry and how to manage projects effectively and help others do the same. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe to our channel here. We put out episodes like this on a weekly basis to help engineers become better project managers and leaders. I'll see you next week.